Hello and welcome to the Broker Room. I'm Sarah Wells and I'm thrilled to be hosting the podcast as a broker myself with over 20 years experience across finance, banking and media. We've got some great guests lined up this season as we continue to connect with industry colleagues and share valuable insights, market trends and business strategies. Welcome to the Broker Room. I'm your host, Sarah Wells, and today I'm joined by Aaron Hendrikson. So Aaron, a little bit about you. You were a branch manager up in Mona Vale for Westpac and then decided to defect across into Brokerland and actually set up your own brand in the same geography. Can you talk to me a little bit about what it was like going from having a big brand behind you to establishing your own brand in the same community?
Yeah, I think it was challenging but exciting and huge opportunity, and I was very lucky. I had a pretty good connection with the local community and local business owners and, a lot of local connections, which then allowed me, when I did do what I did, that, I had an opportunity to try and grow a business out of it, which was great. So, yeah, best financial decision I've ever made.
Well, that's always the right answer. That's what we want to hear to anyone out there that's kind of aspiring to kind of shift over or have a career in broking. But did it give you a greater appreciation for the value of both channels within the community? Having the opportunity to walk into a bricks and mortar retail brand, but also being able to have that choice and work with a broker that has a lot more options and maybe the time and the inclination to get to know you at a deeper level.
Yeah, for sure. I think, working in a branch network where you're, servicing brokers and clients, in the context of Westpac, we used to do a lot of sign-ups for local brokers. So they'd bring their clients in and we'd sign up the loan docs and things like that. So that was my first real exposure to it and realising the opportunity there. I think, working for a brand when you're with one particular lender, you're very focused on the policies and the processes that help you get that job done for the client. And if you think about the opportunity then as a broker outside of that, well, you've got the whole market that you can leverage to get that deal done for a client. And I think that was what excited me and kind of provided the opportunity to get out there and
do something different.
Give clients an opportunity to get past the problems that you have with one lender.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that you do have, because when you do work for a single lender or a brand, it's more about what you can't do than being able to see what you can do.
100%. And I think, look, I guess with that in mind, probably the bigger challenge when you come outside that is then going, well, when you're an expert in one particular lender, you kind of know how to get the problems fixed for people. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge when you go outside of that, where you start thinking, well, how do I get the deal done for the client? And finding those kind of niches and policy stuff.
How do you shift that mindset across from going, what can't I do, is to what information do I need to get to be able to find a solution off a huge panel, of more than 20 lenders for most of us? 100%.
And I think that is the critical part when you transition out of that, is like when there is a problem, how do you get it fixed, or where do you go to get that fixed? And I think, as any new broker coming into the market, that's one of the critical bits, is how do you solve problems? And it's hard.
Pretty much what we are. We're problem solvers. We've got to
100%.
identify the problem, figure out what are the things we can influence, what are the things we can't, and then set about trying to, figure out where we go and start to have those conversations, whether it be with lenders or a credit memo or an email, is really figuring out that strategy. But one thing I just want to loop back to for a sec, because it was a really important point. You spoke about the job that you had for Westpac when you would do a lot of those branch signups for brokers. What do you think, if there's any feedback you could give to the brokers that are out there listening today, that they can do better to have a stronger relationship, given that they're sending clients in to sign up what has been a process that they've done and not the branches? Is there something that a broker did that really made you, give your A game to that client when they came in, or something that maybe you think, we could do better?
Sure. I think, if you're using a branch network to sign up your clients, which, some lenders prefer, I think that is having a relationship with that bank is critical. And if you do have a relationship with a local bank manager or a local person who's going to be doing that sign up, it's a much more seamless kind of, journey for the client.
And the client feels more loved.
Oh, 100%. And that whole idea of, kind of handing off a client is tough, right? Particularly for brokers where you kind of want to, you want to make sure your client gets the best outcome. You don't want to send them nitty gritty into a bank and you're not sure what kind of service they're going to get. And that's hard. So you want to build that relationship.
Yeah. And you touched on a really important point as well, and something that I've always had the perspective on is I don't own the clients. We just earn the right and have the respect to keep on dealing with them. So I think if we can approach it from that attitude rather than who we're in competition with, then the clients will always choose what's best for them.
Yeah, for sure. And if you think through, us as providers, we are just one link in the chain, and you can't get a job can't get someone to buy a house without involving a conveyance, a solicitor, the banks, the lenders, the ongoing service after that. It's all critical parts. And if you don't find that kind of, I guess, that right journey for the client, then you're probably going to burn that client and maybe not get the opportunity to help them again in the future.
Because we are in a really unique position being brokers. We're project managers. We have all of the accountability to the client, but we really have very little control over the process. We can influence, but it does come down to our relationships and how well we play in the sandpit with others. Because if they like us and we're respectful, then they help us more. And the more they help us, the better we look in the eyes of our clients.
Yeah, and I think that's critical from a client perspective. You don't want to be working with someone who's maybe saying bad things about someone else, right? And
no, definitely not. We put them with that brand. It's the last thing we want to do is bag the brand.
No. You don't want to be going, oh, well, look, I was really sorry about that. I knew they were really bad at that. Well, if you thought that, you shouldn't have gone there in the first place for that particular client. And I think that's probably the bit, one of the bigger challenges when you're a broker is that kind of suck it and see with clients, because unfortunately you do have to go through the pain with different lenders. And, one of our our brand is Best Interest Brokers.
I like your brand. It's a cool one.
Thank you. We've obviously played on our kind of regulation on that front, but also, trying to get better outcomes for our clients. But one of the challenges, we genuinely go to market every deal we get. And, there are lots of brokers out there who'll still use one lender or
they'll have two or three that they tend to use. And sometimes that can work well depending on your demographic. I mean, I have a unique demographic of clients, so I sort of have 4 to 5 lenders just because that's a preference. But you play on a really important part there, and sort of dovetailing into our next conversation really is around values. So, what I'm hearing is this respect for everyone in the sandpit and everyone in the food chain. So as a fellow VOW Values Award winner, what do you think are the values, or, maybe 1 or 2 that brokers really should focus on when it's building that trust and respect within the community, but also with the BDMs and everyone that we work with on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, look, it's connecting with people. That's the critical part. And I think with the VOW Values Award, I think in the context of why you get that award, I was very privileged to get it in 2022. The idea of that is connecting not just with the lenders, but with our colleagues, right?
And not just based on volumes either, how much you write or how many transactions, but really who you are as a person and a broker and what you bring to the table. So I really like that award. I think it's a really important one.
Oh, look, if I think about my little business financially, it provides really well for my family, but I'm never going to win the big highest fundings for the year, or I'm never going to compete on the outcome of sales only. And I really like that value award. It really does make me feel more connected with the group. But I think the benefit of it, or the kind of the outcome from it, is connecting with people. So whether that's with your clients or whether that's with other brokers, going to our conferences and then learning and meeting more people, meeting BDMs, meeting more brokers. You get that network out there and build the family kind of relationship, which is kind of VOW's strength.
That's something that we've really connected well. I mean, given that we were VOW and then we became YBR and we sort of really joined, we're kind of like the Brady Bunch that is now, together we have, joint conferences. We really do have a unique family aspect where we communicate, and whether you're green or whether you're yellow, whether you're, interstate or here in New South Wales, I think that's something that is really unique to who we are. And I'm curious. So you've got a broking business and you've also got an outsourcing business, to support brokers in their journey, whether they're about scaling up or wanting to have more time for themselves. This desire to help communicate and connect with others, was there something behind that in going into that outsourcing type of services as well? Or did you just have a great process and want to share it with everyone? The Broker Room is proudly brought to you by the Yellow Brick Road Group. To stay up to date and learn more about our exciting industry, head on over to brokers.ybr.com.au and click on the podcast tab. That's brokers.ybr.com.au. Wherever you listen to our show, remember to follow us or subscribe to be notified of our new and upcoming episodes.
Well, I think initially it was definitely the opportunity was there with my original business partner. He ran an outsourcing business before I was involved, and then once I came in to set up initially BMG Wealth, which is now Best Interest Brokers, was making sure that when I started out, that as I did something, I tried to get a process around it. So that gave me the opportunity to outsource. And I think, when I think back about the outsourcing stuff, it's always been typically for me, like to make my life easier and think through process to how do I make this smooth for my clients? How do I get that work off my desk to help get a better outcome? But, once we kind of nailed that down and I was confident with that, I really felt that we could start helping other people. And that was where we were able to then bring other brokers on. We were able to provide that support for other brokers. And look, as you said, some people want to grow their business, but majority just want to get a bit of time back for themselves. They don't want to be sitting up at midnight tapping into an apply online or
there's so much admin.
Stuff.
I mean, it's definitely changed since I first started. I mean, back in the days of the old thermo Rolo fax and everything was handwritten, we've seen, tech come into play. But obviously with the changes that we have around compliance and notes and even just being able to stay apprised of so many different processes between what each and every lender does, what I'm hearing as well is by having a really strong process and being able to outsource, it gives you more time to connect with your clients, because that is the most important thing, being able to talk to them, understand them, and also be present rather than worrying about, is this deal going to get funded? Have I done this? And no one wants to be working till 10 or 10:30 at night, particularly with brokers. I mean, we get broker burnout. It's hard to do what we do each and every day.
You really do. And look, that is the critical bit, is it's that kind of, once you get it off your desk, you either get more time back to yourself or you can focus on other things. That's your option. For me, it's about chatting with people, right? Like that's what I enjoy.
It's a connection.
That's what I enjoy. I happily chat to people all day. But if you want to be successful as a broker, you can't just chat to people all day. You're running a business. You got to do all your back end stuff. You've got to then get the process done. You got to do all the compliance stuff that you talk about. So if you're not getting, help in that regard, you're really not setting yourself up for success long term.
And you're also not doing your clients any service either, because you're not able to be present. You're not able to stay, on top of everything. And most importantly, you're not able to have that sustainability, because you see a lot of people come into our industry and then go on within 3 to 4 years because it's a hard game. So yeah, we do get to have a lot of autonomy in what we do, but we also have a lot of responsibility. So having that opportunity to be able to stay on top of things, not experience broker burnout, is also somewhere where I think outsourcing can be of a great benefit without having to build out that team in your practice.
Yeah, and I think, look, for everyone's journey is a bit different, right? Like some people want to build a business, they want to build a team, they want to be a leader. I think from my experience back in the banks where I was kind of leading senior teams and stuff, for me, it wasn't that. It was about building a business that I could do the things I was good at, talking to people, helping them with lending, because it's, that's
and
my
being
kind
available.
of career. Yeah, and being there and be able to answer the phone. You don't want to be thinking, I can't pick up this call because I've got to get through this. Yeah. It just, you can't survive like that. You need to be able to pick up your phone. You need to be responsive and available to your clients, and you want to make sure when someone rings you, you can do that, and you need to be able to get that stuff off your desk.
You can have the answers and you can be present, because I know a lot of, you can say that we are able to find good value. I don't like to say that we can get the best rates. I like to say we can always find value for our clients. But it is about being available to them, because they don't do this every day. We do. So we know the process. We know the things that are going to stress people out. But just being able to be contactable and be able to spend 5 or 10 minutes and listen to them on the end of the phone can really make the experience that much more different for someone when they're buying their first home or even their 7th investment property. Because as we know, people that have, had multiple properties, they can still get anxious if they're going to get gazumped, something goes wrong with the process. So what I'm hearing is there's a huge amount of value from, outsourcing, but also outsourcing to someone that really understands the broker journey. And that's why I'm a huge fan of any services in our industry that are built for brokers by brokers. Yep. There are lots of people out there, but I think understanding the unique nature of what we do is so very important.
Yeah, definitely. And that is critical. I mean, there are, as you say, lots of outsourcing businesses out there, but if you're pursuing it, you want to make sure you've got a good connection with them. And most importantly, the team that is actually working for you, they do a good job.
They're an extension of who we are and what we do.
Well, they're critical to your proposition, right? You want people knowing that was a good service and a good outcome.
You do. So going back to that moment when you decided to walk out of the branch and come and join Brokerland, is there one bit of advice that you would have given yourself then that could have made the process that bit easier, or you want to share with someone out there that's thinking about doing the same?
Yeah, it's the connecting with people. It's connecting with
focus on the people.
BDMs. It's if you want to be successful as a broker, you need to have good connection with BDMs, and whether it's 1 or 2 or 3, for me it was about making myself available to anyone that. Being a new broker, you get contacted by a lot of businesses. All the BDMs.
You're very popular when you're first a new broker.
All
Super
these
popular.
emails and, you should do your business with us. Well, what I did was, from day one, I made sure I was available. I went and met with as many people as I could. If I wasn't networking or chatting to clients, then I was typically chatting to a BDM to kind of build relationship, catch up with them for coffee, learn about their business, build relationship, because those relationships as a broker, they are absolutely critical to getting the messy deals done and getting a good outcome for your client.
And I think you really highlighted that important point that we've got to invest in people, because quite often brokers will only ring a BDM when there's a problem. And one thing we know is if you've taken the time to invest and truly know someone, whether it's connecting at conference, whether it's having that coffee, taking them out to lunch, or even just calling and saying thank you, then when your name appears on their phone, they'll generally pick up your call and want to help you. Because we want people to want to help us, not feel like they have to, because at the end of the day, if they're doing that, then we're able to give phenomenal experience and services to our clients. So is it still as important to you today as it was when you way back when?
Absolutely. One of the things I think, if you're good at what you do as a broker, it is absolutely finding the deals that are they're hard. Some deals are hard to place. You don't know whether you're going to get past that policy issue. And in a lot of instances, if you just chuck it into the sausage factory, it will get declined. And if you don't have a good connection with the right BDM to be able to pose questions
and they'll back you. They'll back you all the way through.
With smart questions, right? Like you just throw it in the mix and say, help me, that's not going to work. But if you go in with an approach that you're trying to help them be successful in their business, you're trying to help a client get an outcome, then typically the process works. People work together.
We do. It does. It always comes back to connection. So rounding out our time today together, it's 2023. What do we need to do more or less of, or stop or start doing to get through the next 12 months and see that our sector of the industry keeps to thriving?
Yeah, I think it's connecting with people. I think this, the talk in the market's still really negative, whether that's kind of perceived financial stress, interest rate increases.
Not getting caught up in the noise. And like you said, connecting, I can really get that feeling from you, that connection, taking the time to talk, give people those reality checks, like how is your budget going? Where are things going? Yes, there is negativity out there in the news and the media, but how is it actually really meaning for you?
Yeah, and connect. And if you do, then even if they're okay now, they'll remember you when they're not, or when they think about the next thing. Even if you've been proactive and you are genuinely trying to connect with your clients, then they will think of you next time they need something, or when their family and friends need something, they'll think of you too. And I think that's, for us as brokers, that's critical, those referrals and building relationships ongoing. One client could mean 10 or 15 deals.
And you never know. I mean, sometimes it can be the most difficult client that you just had the most bumpiest experience with, and they turn into your biggest fan. And that's where brokers, I love what our industry does, is we really connect with the hearts and minds of Australians. We're really able to be there through the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, but most importantly is that they remember us at the most amazing parts of their journey, but they also feel safe enough to call us when things get tough and not feel ashamed to talk us through what's going on in their world. And you're right, it always comes back to connection. So it
does, yeah. No, it's a great industry part of, and I think it doesn't matter what cycle we're in, if it's a negative, positive, property booming or not.
We can always add value.
We've got to be there, and ultimately it's about providing that connection and keeping in touch with the clients. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Cheers. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Broker Room with Sarah Wells. That's me, by the way. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to listen to more, then head on over to brokers.ybr.com.au. While you're there, you can reach out to the Yellow Brick Road team, whether you're an aspiring mortgage broker looking to make a career change or just stay informed in this exciting industry. Until the next episode, take care and always stay curious.